You know, the Washington Post, their slogan is "Democracy dies in darkness." They're going to do everything they can to help. And the opinion piece we're going to look at, they switched the headline on this. The original headline was something along the lines of perhaps we should let the higher class have more say in our elections. That was that, and I'm paraphrasing, but the original headline of this article was kind of saying that, oh, we should let the powerful dictate our elections more. And it was said in a much more delicate and flowery way. But that was essentially the headline. A bunch of people really made a big deal about that headline because it's such a disgusting, out in the open, brutal headline that they changed the headline. Here's what they changed it to. It's time to switch preference primaries. All right, so here's this opinion piece. And by the way, this is written by Julia Azari, who is an associate professor and assistant chair in the Department of Political Science at Marquette University. Let me tell you something. I used to be in academia. I left for a long list of reasons. There are some very disconnected people in academia. You think just because someone's an academic, it means they're going to have valuable insight? Believe me, that ain't the case. Are there some academics out there doing amazing things every day? Yes, absolutely. Abso-frickin-lutely. There's a lot of them. Well, maybe not a lot, but they're out there. There's definitely some. There's definitely some. I'm sounding Trump-like today. What am I? Believe me, there's some academics. They're the best academics. They have the best words. They all use words, and they're all the best ones because they're like, I got these words. They use all the big words. Some of them are at Penn. Some of them are at other places. They believe me. But anyway, my point is, just because you have a piece of paper that you were able to earn, doesn't necessarily mean you have something insightful to add. And in this case, oh boy. All right. Only a fraction of the Democratic primary electorate has voted so far, but the nomination season is off to a rocky start. Bernie Sanders leading in popular votes, but he doesn't seem to be leading in the popular vote. He is leading in the popular vote, but okay, Julia. Well, upstart Pete Buttigieg is ahead in the delegate count. The current process is clearly flawed, but what would be better? One person, one vote. That's what would be better. Finding an answer means thinking about the purpose of presidential nominations. Okay, so a better primary system would empower elites. Listen to this. A better primary system would empower elites to bargain and make decisions instructed by voters. So basically, even though they changed the headline to make it slightly less repulsive, what she's saying is, hey, the elites in our country, they know what's best for these poors. So what they should do is we should basically have what we have now, but we'll take the poor people into a little more account. We'll listen to them, I swear. Let's see. One lesson from 2020 and 2016, a lot of candidates, many whom are highly qualified, will inevitably enter the race. The system as it works now with a long and formal primary, blah, 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 is great at testing candidates. What it's not great at is choosing among the candidates who clear that bar or bringing their different ideological factions together, a process in which intermediate representatives, elected delegates who understand the priorities of their constituents, can bargain without being bound to specific candidates. A nomination contest is not like a general election. They aren't being fought to win, but to go on to November. But the kinds of processes that we associate with more open and high-quality democracy may not actually help parties produce nominees that really reflect the party's overall concerns. The reforms that created the modern primary system in the 1970s opened the door to much uncertainty and to divisive nominees such as George McGovern in 1972. Divisive, I guess she just means progressive. I guess that's what she means by divisive. All right. Everyone is doing guesswork on what other wants. Reforms to the process should try to make that guessing a bit more informed. Elites try to shape the decision early on. Some critiques point to nominees such as Donald Trump, lacking in conventional qualifications and appreciation for democratic norms, as proof that nominations shouldn't be too democratic. You know what Donald Trump did? Donald Trump won. Donald Trump won. Why did he win? Because people were so tired of the Beltway that they took a chance on a snake oil salesman. So the lesson to learn from Donald Trump is not Oh, hey, we shouldn't let the people decide. Let's get a bunch of elites to control this process better. The lesson to learn is, hey, people are thirsty for a real solution. They're tired of our corrupt beltway BS politics. And they want a real solution so badly they took a chance on a fake one. They rolled the dice on a snake oil salesman, plutocrat clown. So maybe we should give them a real solution. Or we could just not give the people any. Hey, why do we even have elections, really? Why don't we should just have a room full of rich people decide who the next emperor is, Julia? Why have elections at all? Oh, we should let the elites decide, but we'll listen to the people. That's literally what she's calling for. For decades, the conversation about nominations has been about the conflicts between party elites and everyone else. Today, that conversation is counterproductive. Right. Because the donor class and people who can't afford to go to the doctor, they all want the same things, Julia. They all want the same things. A better approach is to think about how voters and elites could best play their different roles to make their political parties more representative while ultimately narrowing the nomination choice to one person. Preference primaries could allow voters to rank their choices among candidates, as well as to register opinions about their issue priorities. Like an exit poll, the results would be public but not binding, a way to inform elites about voter preferences. So the elites should know what these poor plebs want, and they should be aware of it. Oh, these poor plebs, they want to go to college without having crippling amounts of student loan debt. They want to have enough food in their stomachs. They want to only have to work one job to feed their family. They want to be able to go to the doctor when they're sick. Okay, we're taking note of this. The donor class is writing this down, and we'll consider it before we decide to shove Mike Bloomberg down your throat, because we're not tethered to anything. We're not tethered to the will of these poor people. These poor people who just want the basic American dream. This was published. This article was published. A person wrote this and did not pitch this to The Onion. They wrote this and wanted this to be seen by other human beings. They stand by this. And they have a degree. The process could accompany a primary of sort of what we're used to, in which voters first choice instruct the delegates, and preferences come into play only if there's no clear winners. The primaries could also be held in combination with elections for convention delegates. This would also help voters hold these delegates accountable in the future. The point is to build a way for party elites to understand what their base is thinking and allow them to bargain so that these different preferences and priorities can be balanced. This might sound labor-intensive and a little risky, but the process is already lengthy and expensive. Candidates jockey for endorsements and donations for months. Why not invest some resources into finding out what voters really think and then allow party delegates to figure out how those opinions can translate into a winning ticket? Let the ruling class decide what will win, poor people. The poor people, the ruling class has your back. And what we're going to do to change the process, basically the process we have now is totally fine. Where a bunch of people in a back room can decide who the candidate is via a process called superdelegates. How we need to change the process, according to Julia, we should just listen to these poors a little bit more. Let's just listen to them. And then we'll think about it. And then we'll give you a winning ticket. Like in 2016, when we went against the will of the people, shoved Hillary Clinton down everyone's throat, and she went on to frickin' lose. That's the elite deciding the winning ticket for you, plebs. They came up with such winners as Hillary Clinton. I mean, the condescension in this article is beyond remarkable. The fact that this was published by a newspaper, even one that's just corporate approved PR with the Washington Post, it was so disgusting they had to switch the headline. They had to switch the headline because the headline was something like, oh, elites should have more of a say in our political process. They don't get enough of one so far. And if you go on to read the opinion piece, you see that it is just complete garbage. This whole piece could be summarized in one sentence. Hey, what we're doing now is fine, but we should maybe entertain the idea we actually listen to regular people. It's great that the party elites have all this power and control. We should just pretend that they listen to the regular people. An associate professor wrote this. Marquette University. Wow. Wow. Donald Trump serves... Yeah, Donald Trump won. Donald Trump won because people want actual solutions. It's amazing that somehow in her ivory tower, they didn't come up with the idea of, we should have a platform that reflects what people want in their lives. We should have a government that works for the people. It's not rocket science. It doesn't even require a 4-year degree, let alone a doctorate. Get a platform that actually helps working people. That's why Bernie Sanders fills up stadiums. It's not because a bunch of elites got together and planned how he could be a winning ticket. No, the elites hate him. They hate him. They don't want to see him be the nominee. Why? Because they're not concerned with winning, Julia. They're concerned with maintaining their power. That's why winning is maybe the 3rd or 4th priority of the Democratic establishment. First priority, keep the gravy train rolling, keep the donors happy. That's the priority. But Julia and people like her, they'll tell you the key to winning is let a bunch of elites make the decision for you, plebs, because otherwise we'll get another McGovern. You poor plebs. You might only have a bachelor's degree or maybe even less than that, you poor people. You can't possibly know what would make your life better. We need to decide for you. But we're going to listen to you. And that's how we'll have a better presidential process. We'll listen to you and we'll take it into account, but we're not going to be bound by your archaic, ill-informed ideas of wanting to go to the doctor or not having to work 2 and 3 jobs to survive. But we'll listen to you. And that's how we win. Whew. That was published. This is what happens when you don't have a real news and information structure, by the way. Garbage like that gets published, and that's what it is. It is establishment-approved, condescending, smug garbage. That person should have to return their degree for writing something that ill-informed and putrid. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your